Now, many of you will be missing Matt Talkington. What a man. When O'Reilly were looking for his replacement, they naturally wanted a like-for-like slot in. You know, no problem, I'll be able to fit the hole he left. So they were looking for somebody smart. They were looking for somebody well-dressed. And they were looking for somebody with a strange accent. I guess 1 out of 3 isn't bad. Please welcome Matt Talkington.
Thanks, Ed. I'm not sure that I even buy the one. I mean, you're not particularly well dressed. So this is the first time I think I've been on stage wearing shoes at OzCon. It's a life-changing moment for you. For those of you who are new and wondering what all the in-jokes are about, I used to be the program chair for OzCon, like Ed and Alison are this year. So my talk is, hopefully if I can get slides, there we go. Just at the beginning, spawning the next generation of open source hackers. Now, of course it's a bit of a pun, spawn, It's actually not about open source hackers. I'm taking the open source for granted. I'm using open source when I figure if I just raise a generation of hackers, they'll find the good stuff on their own. Now, what this talk is not about is geeks having sex. Eric Raymond has a tutorial on that. Your therapists have already given me the kickback for that image. We'll move right along. 3 years ago, I picked up my family and moved them from Colorado back to New Zealand, which, as this map shows, is at the asshole of the world. It's miles and miles away. Yes, that was the first swear word. You snarky bastards on IRC, you can shut the hell up right now. I know what you're up to. So I moved to the asshole of the world, a long, long way away from anything and anyone, sort of enjoying the life around me. And I decided that I would spend some time teaching kids how to use computers. And the motivation for this was the school that my kids went to. If you look at the website for New Zealand schools, you can see that my school has 62 kids on the roll. It's a very small rural school. It's the one that I went to, Lee Primary School. And it has a middle-of-the-road decile. So in New Zealand, you rank the affluence of the parents as the decile rating of the school. So schools in a decile 10 are incredibly wealthy, and every child has a helicopter. And schools in decile 1 are incredibly poor, and there's a lot of homelessness and helicopters. So ours is in the middle, which means no helicopters, no homelessness. So when I got there, the first thing I noticed was the admin person, Faye here, has the best computer in the school. Yes, it's a PC. Yes, it's a PC running Windows. You can tell because it's the blue screen of death. And that sadly was indicative. They had a bunch of machines in the senior classroom, maybe 5 machines donated. They were crap, utter crap. One was Windows 2003, where the others were Windows XP. One didn't connect to the network. One blue screened randomly 3 minutes after turning it on. None of them printed. It was all bad news. So I ran a conference in New Zealand, Kiwi Fu Camp, also called Baba Camp, in tribute to all the sheep in New Zealand. I ran Kiwi Fu, and we had a little money left over at the end. So I went to the school and I said, look, you are going to upgrade all of those computers. I will give you some money, and we will make sure that they are computers that aren't going to get viruses and bit rot in the same way that your Windows boxes do. Now, I chose these because I left Unix system administration in the early 2000s when OS 10 came out, and I haven't rebuilt a kernel since. And I figured my skills were probably stronger here than on the Unix side, because sure enough, system administration was the first thing I ended up doing. The trouble with getting 9 machines and giving them to a school that used to have no functioning machines, so they don't know what the heck to do with them. So you've got to download updates and make disk images, and then there's the problem of getting the friggin' things to print. This drove me crazy, and I have new appreciation for the moving office space now. PC load letter, indeed. So I was the bastard operator from hell for my kids' school, and eventually I got them onto a steady footing, and I realized it was time to start teaching stuff. It was time to start educating these kids on how to use the computers that they had. And I couldn't have the teachers do that because the teachers hadn't had any working computers. You know, they were just as confused as the kids would be. So I started teaching the teachers and the kids. Started with basic computer literacy. This is the anatomy of the machine you're holding in front of you. You know, this is the screen. Don't grab it by the screen. This is the keyboard. This is a menu bar. This is the desktop. Here's the dock. All that kind of stuff. I taught them basic Google literacy. I taught them it by showing them how to search for sharks, and the kids were really interested in sharks. And then I had them search for shark pictures, and as they were exploring the pictures of the sharks, I realized they'd been clicking on the ads, not knowing that they were ads. So valuable lesson, because the most prominent ad for shark pictures at the time took you to a site in Australia that wanted to sell you software. Had no pictures of sharks. Very disappointing for a 7-year-old boy who was looking for pictures of someone getting nearly eaten off by a shark. So that disappointment was a valuable teaching moment for me. Then I taught them how to use the applications like you have to do, you know, word processing and presentations and stuff. Kids don't use presentations. You know, everybody goes, oh no, what? You're teaching the bloody kids PowerPoint? That's what we need. 8-year-olds with bullet points. No. Children use the presentation software by making one slide, and they use it like it's a desktop publishing program. It's one big page. They can lay text and pictures out and they print it out. That's all they ever do with it. There's a great program for the Mac called Comic Life. If you have kids, they'll love playing with this, bringing photos in, adding captions, making it look like a comic. So that was fun. These are basic life skills for the computer. This is not rocket science, and most importantly, it's not programming. And I wanted to teach the kids programming. I felt that programming was very important. Not because I wanted to make a classroom full of 8-year-old Melvins who are all, I like the program on my computer too. That everybody, when they say, I'm going to teach young kids how to program, they're immediately, oh, that's disgusting, I should be outside playing, I should be, just running around and fuck off. No, you can do both. You can learn to program and you can run around outside. There are 24 hours in a day. So I do this because I think programming is like changing a tire. This isn't rocket science, folks. If you can make a document, if you make a presentation, you make a spreadsheet, it's like driving a car. It's a basic skill. And just like that, if you don't know how to change tires, if you don't know how to pump gas, and there are some people who don't, then you are going to find life a whole lot slower and a whole lot more miserable than someone who does. And it's exactly the same with programming. Making a spreadsheet, we've all written code to munge data to make a spreadsheet more useful that would have taken hours by hand. I think it's a basic life skill. So I took the opportunity to, when they had a clubs day and there was cooking and there was fishing because it's New Zealand, I took the opportunity to run a computer club. And here we are. This is the first incarnation where you see the crappy Windows machines in the back. I brought my Mac laptops in for most of the work. The kids at the back are playing with Logo, and the kids at the front are playing with the kid at the front and me are playing with a Lego Mindstorms kit. This is the second generation, the Lego Mindstorms Next. As you can see, 3 motors and a bunch of sensors, so it's a robot. You know, you build a robot out of Lego, and you can program the central controller to look for things, you know, using the sensors or drive motors to move around. And now we think that robots are sexy. I did. I thought, oh wow, robots, kids, robots, great. These things will go together. Robots are awesome. Robots, not so much with the sexy. They're not even so much with the cool. Robots are dorky. They are lame. Because the current state of robotics is such that with your Lego Mindstorms kit, you can make it move forward, move backwards, turn, and follow a line on a page. Like the killer app was following a line on a page, which it did erratically. The sensor wasn't really reliable enough to consistently do it. And if you have kids, what is the one, who's a parent? Put your hands up, you poor bastards, right? So, you know, every parenting book tells you, be consistent. Consistency is king. The bloody robot's not consistent. They do everything right. They spend an hour assembling it, they spend an hour programming it, they put it down, and for no fault of theirs, it sometimes doesn't follow the line. It's really disappointing for a kid. Robots, not so much for the good. So I tried Logo blows. Logo blows because it requires kids to type, it requires kids to know math, 90-degree angles. I hadn't realized what utter bullshit 90-degree angles are before until the kids were going to write a simple program. I said, draw a square. Square has 4 sides, you just turn a right angle at each side. What? Forward 100, right 100, forward 100, right 100. Why is that not making a square? Why is it 90? I'm sorry. So, I finally found a great package. It's something called Scratch. This is the URL, scratch.mit.edu. This is what Scratch looks like. You have sprites, these are characters on the right-hand side. You have in the middle the program that you're going to write, and on the left-hand side you have a whole bunch of possible operations. So here I've got the first operation is when I click on the green flag, do something forever. What I'm doing forever is the blue stuff in the middle. I think it's blue. I'm colorblind. So what you do is you move 10 steps, and then if you're on the edge, you turn around and bounce. And all of those things are primitives. They all have little shapes, and they lock into each other, so you can't make a syntax error. Right? We talked about the bit 20, right? Question mark syntax error was the level of error message diagnostics you got back then, and Python's pretty much still there. This is a whole ocean of pain that children will never have to experience. So here's what you get when you run that program. Immediate gratification. Kids love it. It's visual, it's easy, they don't need to know how to drag and drop, and there's a little bit of typing for things like the 10. So here I've shown you that there are multiple costumes for each character. So this sprite here has one with the legs apart and one with the legs a little bit closer together. So if we change our program to add a new next costume command, then it looks like it's running. Here I've got a list of all the commands. The commands are things like not just move, not just pin up and pin down like logo, but also say, where a speech bubble comes up, you can record sounds and have it play a sound. There are all sorts of conditionals, all sorts of loops. It's a fully featured programming language. It doesn't have objects, it doesn't have named subroutines. There are a few things it doesn't teach. But in terms of like the basics of programming, these kids are getting a real programming language exposure from it. There are mathematical functions, comparisons, random numbers, and everything. So here I've changed it so, what does this one do? Oh right, I'm making it chase the mouse pointer. No, I'm making it only move if I move the cursor above 100 pixels from the top. Whee! Stop. Okay. And then I said, well, this is the simplest thing. Let's make it chase the mouse pointer. And it's like making a cat chase a laser pointer. Kids love it. It's like the earliest, the simplest game, 3 little blocks that you put in. And then you can make it a little more directed, and you say, well, if it gets to the mouse pointer, make it say, gotcha, and then start again from a random location. And that's 4 more drags. Kids loved it. So I had boys and girls in my class. They all wanted, I showed them the stuff, the basic commands, and I said, okay, now you go off and experiment. I want to see you come up with what you want to do. I want to see you, building something that you want. So here, they came up with jokes. They had 2 characters on the screen, and they were telling jokes to one another, and they recorded the voices. It was great fun. Some of them told stories. I had one girl, her parents, religiously, not religious, but just completely opposed to computers. Did not like them, did not want one in the house. And she was so happy to be playing on this thing, been really nervous at first. It took her, she was coming from further behind than the other kids. And her project was, because she read a lot, she didn't have a computer, she made a presentation about her favorite book. So she had elements from the book all through the presentation. And of course the boys uniformly wanted to make games because they had PlayStations at home and loved them to pieces. Now Scratch has limitations, it's a small screen, there aren't named functions, there's a limit to what you can do. So I moved on to processing with my own kids, in particular my son, who wanted to write a game that was more complex than I could do in Scratch. So this is the processing environment. It's a layer on top of Java that simplifies a lot of things. You don't have to subclass from application, which is not something I wanted to explain to an 8-year-old boy. What I did was pair programming. I sat down with him beside me, we went, and we would talk, and he would say, well, I'd say, what did you want? And he said, well, I'd like to have a shooting game where there's a gun, right? Well, what are we shooting at? And then I'd figure out what it was he wanted to build, and build it step by step with him and say, well, now how big do you think we should make this? And what will happen if we do this? So this is what we came up with. There's a little cannon on the left-hand side, which is just a line, and you can rotate the cannon up and down by pushing some keys, and then you shoot it. And there's a moving pole-like barrier on the right-hand side, and every time you hit it, you get points. So we developed that as a progression. First you do the canon, which teaches you about angles and bounds checking, and then this is how I was thinking of it. Then you do the ball with gravity and bounds checking and target and collision detection, and it goes on a predefined path, and then we added scoring. And my boy looked at it as, well, first we write the game, and then I get to tweak it, and then I can write cheats. So he immediately laid down and he was like, I can make the size of the target bigger. I can give myself 100 points if I push a key before I score. And he was having a ball. So a lot of lessons here. For a start, lectures suck. My experience teaching kids is you have 2 minutes tops when you stand up in front of a class full of kids. That's how long they'll watch for. So it has to be more active, it has to be more hands-on, discovery-based learning. The gender gap is not what you think. At the age I was working with, which was 8 to 10 or 8 to 11-year-olds, the girls are smarter, more focused, more literate, they have better math skills. Everything is better in the girls than it is in the boys. The boys are hyperactive, focusless, chaotic, and ultimately too ambitious. The boys all want to make a game like the one they're playing on the Xbox. There was a game magazine 4 years ago that showed kids, Pac-Man and Donkey Kong and Space Invaders, and oh, this is so lame, was their uniform response. I cannot believe you spent money on this, Dad. Were you insane? The boys are too ambitious, the girls are really, really good at it. And you have to follow their interests. So I gave them the basic skills and I let them figure out what to do next. Keyboards are a challenge. Most of them don't have Mavis Beacon typing tutor and aren't touch typists. Most of them struggle to find the letters. Most of them haven't done any math involving angles, let alone every other line, so we need to learn about modulus, that kind of stuff. And most importantly, the teachers need teaching. It's not just the kids. Oh, and robots are really lame. That was the other thing I know. So I have a little proposal here. I'm going over, but I'm begging the indulgence of Ed. I have a wee proposal. I think every single one of you, unless you're a pervert, should volunteer. I'm completely comfortable with the possibility you're a pervert, and I'm putting it out there that you're good enough to not go to the school. Volunteer, go to the teachers and say, what do you need? I could get rid of your Windows licensing fees one summer by turning all your Windows boxes into Ubuntu boxes. I can run a computer club and teach kids how to program. I can just help you get stuff to work if you need. Schools are always underfunded. Nobody ever spends enough on teacher development. Your time will be the best thing that you can give. If you do this, look on at scratch.mit.edu to figure out what other educators have done, build your own courseware and share it, post it on your blog so other people can find it. And you won't be profiting. There is no step 3 profit in this. Step 3 is, this is a universal moral good. You write code at the moment, often companies take that code and make money and give you nothing. There is no downside to volunteering in a school and helping kids. It is uniformly good. And to end, I thought I would tell you about this girl. She was the one with the Lego and Mindstorms kit on the first year. I eventually gave her, after she'd run out of things to do in Scratch, an old Lego Mindstorms kit that John Allmont from the Pearl Journal had given me. This is generation 1. It's almost 10 years old, I think. And she took it, she went home, she ran straight down to the back of the shed at the back of the yard where the computer was, set up everything, didn't come in until about 8 o'clock that night. And every day afterwards, immediately after school, ran down and did it. So here she is, she's assembling it, following the instructions very carefully because being a girl, she's literate and focused. And here's Ashley with her robot, which actually does follow a big thick black line and made her very happy. So, okay, robots aren't lame. And the fourth thing I would say is that, if you do have the wherewithal to donate a robotics kit or two to my school, I would be very grateful and would love to hear from you. And on that I say, thank you very much.